Now friends, let us start with discussion with respect to some of the tax liability related questions, residential status, some detailed discussion, and net tax liability calculations. Okay, and come to this particular question. And as I always told you friends, you should keep reading the question before you start the discussion at least 2 times. Each and every word of the question you should have read, okay, before I start the discussion. Now see, in the given situation, there are 2 sisters, the data about 2 sisters given, Rosie and Mary. Okay, both of them are born and brought up in Mumbai and citizen of India. Citizenship is already clarified. The born and brought up in India, it signifies, see, nowhere the law says basically that born and brought up in Mumbai. But if you see the persons of Indian origin definition, basically it says that either the assessee himself, his parents, or any of his grandparents. If they were born in undivided India, okay, then it will be regarded as a person of Indian origin. Now here this Rosie Mary born, brought up in Mumbai, so it indicates that it is straight away a person of Indian origin. So they are citizen of India also, and they are person of Indian origin also. Okay. Now during the previous year, Rosie is staying in India for 125 days and Mary stayed for 190 days. Okay. So Rosie married days. In the preceding 15 years, the Rosie stayed in India for 100 days every year and Mary stayed in India for 200 days every year. Okay. So Rosie's preceding year stays and the previous year stay, everything has been given to us. Rosie has got married in 1982 and settled in Canada. Since then, Mary got married and settled in Mumbai. Okay. Now, this part of the statement hardly matters, but it basically signifies that whether they are connected with India or not in the present status, but hardly matters. Both of them are 65 years, that means senior citizen. Okay. Following are the details of their income and etc. Okay. So, first of all, let us discuss the residential status of Rosie, and thereafter we will discuss the residential status of Mary, and thereafter we will start the discussion. And apart from that, you are required to compute and all that. So Rosie, different situations have been given. So first we will discuss Rosie residential status in all the situations. Then we'll discuss Mary residential status in all the situations, and thereafter we will discuss the tax liability calculation. Okay. So first of all, Rosie. Okay. Now see, Rosie during the previous year, she is staying in India for 125 days as given here. 1 second, let me erase all this. Rosie previous year is staying in India for 125 days and since last 15 years she is staying for 100 days. That means for preceding previous year she is in India for 400 days, 100 days every year. Okay. Now, first of all, what test? That 182 days test applicable to everyone, but here previous year you are not staying greater than equal to 182 days. So it will be a test of 60 days and 365 days test that will be applicable. Okay. So first of all, come to this particular provisions of the residential status. Okay. See, 182 days test, which is common. So this test is anyway not going to satisfy to Rosie because only 125 days stay. So this clause C, within 4 years preceding 365 days and 60 days during the previous year. Okay. However, because you are a citizen of India, you are a person of Indian origin who are normally outside India, but you are coming to India for a visit to India. So 125 days you have come to visit, no, maybe friends, relatives, whatever, some visit purpose. Now for what visit? Hardly matters. But you are a citizen of India or you are a person of Indian origin and you are coming to India for a visit, then instead of 60 days, you have to substitute that with 182 days. Okay. So instead of 60 days, you have to substitute with 182 days as a matter of test. Okay. So instead of 60 days, I have to substitute that with 182 days test, which is of the previous year. Okay. Now, in the given situation, when I substitute that with 182 days, my 125 days condition is not satisfied. The 182 days condition not satisfied because during the previous year it is 125 days. Okay. So my conclusion first of all will be a non-resident. Okay. So in this situation, by default, it will be regarded as a non-resident. And see the Rosie's income and all that figures. Okay. 1 lakh, 20,000, 40,000, all. The total is not exceeding even 15 lakhs. That means this particular clause, in case of citizens or person of Indian origin, total income other than income from foreign source, that means logically the Indian income is exceeding 15 lakhs of rupees, Okay, then 60 days you have to substitute that with 120 days. Okay, at this particular point, right now it will not be applicable because your income is not crossing the limit of 15 lakhs of rupees in the question. Okay, now if you see, that is the first part. The Rosie is going to be non-resident. Okay, as per the basic data. Then the second part, compute the taxable income tax liability of Rosie, Mary, etc., where profit on sale of land in Mumbai is 21 lakhs instead of 1 lakh. Okay, so this is 1 lakh sale of land in Mumbai. Instead of that, supposing if you make it as 21 lakhs, supposing, okay, as per the second part, then what will happen, that 15 lakhs Indian income is going to cross the limit. So this part will come into picture, and instead of 60 days, I'll have to substitute that with 120 days. Okay. So see here, instead of 182 days, now I have to substitute with 120 days condition. Now my actual stay during the previous year is 125 days, which is going to cross 120 days, and 365 days 4 years preceding, that is also I'm crossing, so that is 400 days. Okay, so now I'm going to become resident. So in that situation, I'm going to become resident first of all. Okay, now having become a resident in this particular situation, now not ordinarily resident test come into picture. See, 100 days you are staying every year. So past 7 years you are staying 700 days. That is one of the situation. Okay, and at the same point in time during the previous year it is more than 120 days, but it is less than 182 days. So not ordinarily resident under section 6(6). See, he will be not ordinarily resident. Okay, if this condition or this condition is satisfied, and one of the condition is in India in the 7 preceding years preceding the previous year, in all, that means total 729 days or less. So she is staying 100 into 700 days. That means it is 729 days or less. So she becomes a not ordinarily resident even by this test. And there is one more thing. See clause number C. Citizen, person of Indian origin, total income other than income from foreign source, that means basically the Indian income, is exceeding 15 lakhs of rupees, and that assess is in India for a period 120 days or more, but less than 182 days. By this test also she will become not ordinarily resident. Now anyway, any one test, so it is not necessary that all the tests you should keep on satisfying. So any one test that you satisfy, you will be regarded as not ordinarily resident. Okay, so moment it becomes 21 lakhs here, then she is going to become a not ordinarily resident. Rosie, I'm just talking about Rosie right now. Okay, so that is done. In point number 3, the situation, now she has got 21 lakhs. Her stay in India during the previous year is 55 days instead of 120 days, 225 days. So now she is staying only for 55 days. Assume that Rosie is not liable to tax in Canada or any other country. Now if you see, Rosie is already a citizen of India. Rosie is already born, brought up, and citizen of India. She is already a citizen of India. And her stay in India is just 55 days. Okay, so by default, if you see, even this 60 days condition will not be satisfied. The 60 days condition also will not be satisfied. So logically, now always say that if your stay is less than 60 days during the previous year, your 99% situation you will be non-resident. 99%. But see, because there is one very special provision here. Okay, this clause. Okay. Now, first of all, for this particular clause, the number of days test is nowhere relevant. Okay. So, how many number of days you are staying in India is not at all relevant. Okay. It says that individual who is a citizen of India. So, Rosie is already a citizen of India. Okay. You will be deemed to be resident. You will be deemed to be resident if your total income other than income from foreign source is exceeding 15 lakhs. So, now in that situation, she is already crossing 15 lakhs of limit. Okay. And you are not liable to tax in any other country or territory. If you are not liable to tax in any other country or territory, then you are a deemed resident in India. Deemed resident in India. Mamma mia! damn serious provisions. So citizens of India, but these provisions are applicable only to the citizens of India. So if you are a citizen and if your total income exceeding foreign, that means your Indian income is crossing 15 lakhs of rupees, in that case, you will be deemed to be resident in India. Okay. If you are not liable to tax in any other country or any other territory. Okay. And in connection with that, it is also said that now previous clause was response to resident. Now it is a not ordinarily resident test. Okay. A citizen of India who is deemed to be resident under clause 1A. So basically, such people who are not liable to tax in any other country will be resident, but not ordinarily resident. So this will be the provision that will be applicable. Okay. So in the third situation, she will be not ordinarily resident. Okay, and accordingly, see why this resident not ordinarily resident. Now, one of the main tests, let me tell you, non-resident and not ordinarily resident difference in terms of computation is a business control from India. Otherwise, practically the computation wise, it is the same only. So what you compute for non-resident, same thing you compute for non-ordinary resident. That means they are not liable to tax in India for the foreign incomes. And only one exception will be not ordinarily resident type of the assessee, where the business is controlled from India. And time and again, I have explained that particular point to you in the past. Okay. Now, let us discuss about marry. And thereafter, we will start doing the computation where once you have understood this residential status, then the computation is going to become very, very simple. Let me erase this. Now, marry. Don't forget that both the sisters are citizens. They are citizens and they are born and brought up in India. They are also person of Indian origin. Now, Mary stayed in India for 190 days. Okay, during the previous year, and in the earlier years, she is in India for 200 days every year. Okay, that's the situation. Now, moment you are staying in India for 190 days, that is greater than or equal to 182 days, straight away you are going to become resident. See, straight away you are going to become resident. So 182 days is a benchmark, when it comes to the residential status. Okay. An individual will be said to be resident in India where during the previous year 182 days test, straight away you will be regarded as resident in India. And since she is staying every year 200 days in India, every year she is going to become resident only by this particular test. Okay, so practically she is going to become resident and ordinarily resident. Even that 7 years test for not ordinarily resident will not be satisfied, because 729 days or less. Now it is 200 days every year, so 7 years totals 1400 number of days she might have stayed in India. So she is going to become ultimately resident and ordinarily resident in this particular situation. Okay, and once based on this number of days only she is resident and ordinarily resident, then whether she has got 1 lakh or 21 lakhs, it can matter, but hardly that will be, what would I say, not so much of significant from the marry point of view. That means marry will be resident whether it is 1 lakh or 21 lakhs. Okay, so she will be resident and ordinarily resident in this particular situation. Okay, now let's do the computation very quickly. Now, she is a non-resident in the first situation, Rosie. Okay, so foreign incomes will not be taxable in India. Okay, now this pension received from Canadian government will be, first of all, I'm discussing only Rosie. Okay, so this will not be taxable. Long-term capital gains on the sale of land in Mumbai will be taxable. Okay, and short-term capital gains on sale of shares listed companies in respect of STT paid, that means your special rate of tax will be applicable with respect to short-term capital gains 111A provisions. Okay, so this will be taxable. Then premium paid on Canadian life insurance policy 40,000, that will be deductible. That means life insurance premium whether paid in India or abroad, ATC deduction, you can always get it. Rent received in respect of house property at Mumbai, so this is rent received. However, no exact data like fair rent and all that has been given to us. So in the given case, just give the standard deduction, say the net income with respect to house property. So give minus 30% standard deduction, and the net income is going to be 42,000. Okay. Now when it comes to chapter 6A deduction, this particular deduction, okay, if there is any income which is of this type, long-term capital gains, okay, or this particular type which is 20,000, okay, against this to income, chapter 6A deduction is not permitted. That is the general purpose provisions of chapter 6A. So if there is any long-term capital gains, or if there is long-term capital gains with respect to equity shares in the stock listed in the stock exchange, and short-term capital gains with respect to listed shares, these three situations, chapter 6A deduction in general is not permissible. So maximum deduction that you can get under chapter 6A overall will be only 42,000. Okay, so what you have is, see here, your net taxable property income is 42,000 after standard deduction. You have to understand like that against 42,000 you are going to get this 40,000 of chapter 6A deduction. Okay, so you are first of all a non-resident, okay, and you have to then multiply straight away with the special rate of tax for LTCG, okay, and this particular 20,000 rupees, which is short-term capital gains, listed shares, Indian company, you have to multiply special rate. These two are the special rate, okay, and whatever is the other income, that is logically is going to be 2,000 after chapter 6A deduction. You will give a basic exemption limit in this particular case. Unused basic exemption limit, I repeat, unused basic exemption limit, the non-resident person cannot use it, okay, they cannot use the unused basic exemption limit, and therefore the special rate income will be straight away multiplied in this particular situation, and your tax liability will be over. Okay, now in the second situation, you are not ordinarily resident, but instead of 1 lakh it is going to become 21 lakhs. Okay, so it will not make that particular big difference. Okay, so just make it as 21 lakhs. Okay, so special rate income will become 21 lakhs, that's all. And I once again repeat that against special rate income, unused basic exemption, you will not be able to adjust it because you are not ordinarily resident. Okay, and special rate multiply and get the amount of the tax liability, absolutely no big deal whatsoever. Okay, now in the third situation also, when she is not ordinarily resident, the answer is going to be the same only like a not ordinarily resident situation. Okay, now let's talk about Mary. Okay, now Mary, as we have already decided, is resident and ordinarily resident. Okay, so she will be liable for the global taxation no matter whether her income is inside India or outside India or something like that. Now the pension from the state government is taxable. Let me tell you that regular pension is always taxable. If it was a commuted pension from the state government, then it would be eligible for exemption, but forget it, this is anyway taxable. Long-term capital gains on the sale of land in Mumbai will be taxable. Okay, however, it will be a special rate. This is listed shares, also will be taxable. Okay, life insurance corporation, you are paying, so this one you will give section 80C. Okay, premium paid to Canadian life insurance in no, so that is only for the Russians. Sorry, medical policy. So this 25,000 rupees you give medical policy premium, that you give the reduction. Okay, this will be eligible. Then investment in PPF will be eligible. Okay, rent received in respect of the property, here it is 30,000. So from that you give standard deduction. 30%, that means 9,000 you give the standard deduction. The net 21,000 will be your house property income. Okay, now see, as I already told you that you will get chapter 6A deduction only against put it differently, chapter 6A deduction you will not get it against special rate income of 112, 112A or 111A. Okay, these three types income, against that chapter 6A deduction is not permissible. So see, from the chapter 6A deduction point of view, long-term capital gains, this is not eligible for chapter 6A deduction. This is also not eligible for chapter 6A deduction. Okay, so the overall maximum chapter 6A deduction that you can get is against this particular pension that you can get it. Okay, you can get it. Okay, and you can get it against this rent income. So overall maximum chapter 6A deduction that you can get, because you have got a lot of investments, no? So somewhere or the other you have to give a restriction. That means you will not get all the investment maximum, all the full chapter 6A deduction you will not get. Maximum chapter 6A you will get 10,000, that is your pension, and you will get 21,000. Okay, so maximum 31,000 only deduction you can get overall. Now either you take 80C and then you restrict to 80D, or you do it vice versa, the choice is yours. Okay, but overall maximum deduction under chapter 6A for marry will be restricted to 31,000 rupees in this particular question, because this LTCG and this STCG, which is with respect to the listed shares, and LTCG on sale of land, okay, is not eligible for chapter 6A deduction. Okay, so ultimately your income, because now you are resident and ordinarily resident. Okay, so your income is going to be these two figures, because full chapter 6A deduction you will get 3,50,000 rupees. Okay, that is going to be your total income. Now against the total income you will calculate the tax liability, but the basic exemption limit, now because you are resident and ordinarily resident, you can use it against this particular 3,50,000. You can use it. Okay, so she is already a senior citizen. See, she is already a senior citizen. So senior citizen will also be eligible for the purpose of higher basic exemption limit. A non-resident senior citizen is not eligible for higher basic exemption, but a resident senior citizen is eligible for the higher basic exemption. Okay, so give the basic exemption. Okay, so see, you can say like that. Basic exemption you will give 3 lakhs. Senior citizen. Okay, now balance 50,000 will become taxable. Okay, now you will have a doubt, or you can say that there will be two options of doing the tax liability calculation. Whether this 50,000 you will multiply with 20%, that is your LTCG rate. Okay, because long-term capital gains on sale of land, or you will say 15%, that is with respect to your short-term equity shares in the listed in the stock exchange. Okay, so in this particular case, whether 50,000 will be brought to tax as LTCG or as STCG of 111A. Or put it differently, that you are claiming this basic exemption, first against LTCG on the sale of land. Okay, or you are claiming basic exemption first against this STCG figure, whichever way you understand. So in such a situation, you have to give the tax liability calculation both the ways. You have to give both the ways the tax liability calculation. Okay, so option A, option B, that way you have to give the answer. Okay, now one more thing which I want to bring to your notice, that is a rebate of section 87A. Okay, 87A rebate. Okay, this 87A rebate is available for all the types of income, but there is one exception, that is 112A income. But in the that means against 112A income, 87A rebate is not available. In the given question, anyway 112A income is not there. See, LTCG on the sale of land is 112, and this STCG or listed shares is 111A. Okay, so both the sections are eligible. I repeat, both the sections, 112 is also eligible and 111A is also eligible for the purpose of rebate under section 87A. Okay, so you can claim the rebate where your income is less than the limit provided for the purpose of rebate. But had it been the case of section 112A, then you will not be eligible for rebate under section 87A. One of the very, very valuable point. Okay, so you have to calculate tax liability now both the ways, give the rebate and get the amount of the tax liability done. Okay, and basic exemption, as already told you, resident and ordinary resident can already use it. So there is no big deal whatsoever now. In the second situation, the answer will again be remaining the same only, but only thing, you see the Mary here. Okay, Rosie and Mary, if profit on sale of land in Mumbai is 21 lakhs instead of 1 lakh. The only thing that will be the difference here is that instead of this 1 lakh, it is going to become 21 lakhs. That is only going to become the difference. So now that is only the same type computation. There is no big deal whatsoever. Same method, same concept, okay? But only that figures are going to change. So it's not going to be a big deal whatsoever. And you can simply update the answer with the updated numbers. Now come to this particular question for the purpose of discussion. Now see, in the given question, all the residential status and all that is ready-made given to us. Okay, long-term capital gains. This is basically subjected to the special rates of tax for all the situations. Now total income other than long-term capital gains. So basically your total income is going to be the total figure here like that. In the first situation, let us discuss each and every situation separately. And see, Mr. A, resident person, and this long-term capital gains is from the sale of a vacant site. That means it is a long-term capital gains on the sale of the property. Okay, so the special rate will of course be covered, and he will be subjected to the special rate, but he will get a basic exemption. Listen very carefully. Okay, now normally the special rate of tax which is applicable on the given income, for that you do not get basic exemption limit. Normally you do not get any basic exemption limit, but there are some exceptions. Previously also I have explained that to you, but I'll quickly go through that. There are some exceptions in terms of the specific provisions which permits the residential individual or an HUF to adjust the unused basic exemption limit. I repeat, unused basic exemption limit against the special rate income. Normally you cannot do that, keep that in mind, okay? But there are exceptions for some residential some resident person types. Okay, now I'll tell you that particular provisions very quickly and show you that particular provisions wherever there is an exception. See, in the given question it is section 112 because it is long-term capital gains on the sale of land, but I'll just show you that. See, first of all, this is 112A. It is not there in the question, but I'm just showing you that particular exceptions, you know, that you can use unused basic exemption limit towards a special rate income. Okay, look at this particular provision, and similar type of the provision in the respective special rate provision income, it is there, and wherever it is there, that is only an exception, otherwise no exception, provided the individual or an HUF being a resident, okay, where total income reduced by such long-term capital gains is below the maximum amount which is not chargeable to tax, then there is an adjustment to be done. That means you can use unused basic exemption limit towards that particular long-term capital gains on the specified long-term capital gains of section 112A in the given section, because given section is about 112A. Okay, so this is an exception. Okay, but this is only for resident person. Similar exception there. See, under section 112 also, this is your, actually section 112 is straight away part of this particular question. Okay, now see, in case of individual or an HUF being resident, LTCG tax rate is 20%. And look at this particular provision. This particular provision where the total income reduced by long-term capital gains is below the maximum amount not chargeable to tax. Okay, so this is only for that resident person. C, this is only for that individual HUF resident. Okay, then such long-term capital gains shall be reduced by the amount of the total income which falls short of the basic exemption limit. Okay, so this is the provision which allows the special rate income to be adjusted against unused basic exemption limit, but this is again only for resident person. Keep that in mind. Okay, see, 111A, under 111A also, see, that is basically your short-term capital gains on listed shares in case of an individual or an HUF being a resident person. Okay, same type of the provision. Okay, so wherever in special rate income this type of enabling provisions are there, you can use the unused basic exemption limit with respect to the special rate income. If such provisions are not there, keep that in mind, then you cannot do that. Okay, that means you cannot adjust your unused basic exemption limit against the special rate income. Now see, in the given question, he is a resident person. Listen very carefully, and he has an unused basic exemption limit. So he will use the basic exemption limit against your other incomes, but still there is unused limit. So your special rate income will get adjusted against the unused basic exemption limit. Okay. Then it comes the question of 87A rebate. Okay. 87A rebate generally applicable on all the types income. Exception is section 87A. Sorry, exception is 112A. See, I will show you that 112A. So that way there has to be specific provisions. Keep that in mind. That's the only reason I'm showing you this direct provision, so that you will understand the interpretation. Okay. Now, see 87A rebate under this. This is your 112A provisions. Look at this particular clause. Where income of the assessee includes any LTCG referred to in this particular clause, rebate under 87A shall be allowed from the income tax on the total income reduced by tax payable on capital gains. That means against the given section, the capital gains, you cannot get 87A rebate. This is what it is just simply trying to say. Okay. But in the given question, it will not matter because it is 112 only. Okay. So in the given question, it will not matter. You will get 87A rebate. Okay. So you can straight away update the answer on this particular situation. Now come to the next situation, that is your assessee is a non-resident. Okay. Now assessee is a non-resident, you have a long-term capital gains 10,000 from the sale of listed shares. Okay. Now since you have it on the sale of the listed shares, first of all 112A provisions will be applicable. Okay. Under 112A you will get a basic limit. Okay, so the 112A is chargeable to tax only if the amount exceeds that particular basic limit of 1 lakh of rupees. See, I will show you that particular point also. The amount exceeding 1 lakh of rupees and the tax rate is 10%. Okay, so that basic limit you will get. Okay, and whatever is your other incomes, you will just multiply with the normal rates of taxes. Only thing that, see, your age is 62, but assessee is a non-resident, so higher basic exemption you cannot give, because the higher basic exemption is applicable only with respect to the resident assessee and not with respect to non-resident assessee. Okay, so that's all about Mr. B. Update your answer fully. So all pure calculator work you can keep on updating. Okay, Mr. C, his age is 81, resident. So first of all, he will get a higher basic exemption limit because very super senior citizen. So that should be kept in mind. Now this LTCG is from the sale of agricultural land in the rural area. Now agricultural land in the rural area is not a capital asset itself in the capital gains chapter. So any profit on this sale of rural agricultural land is not chargeable to tax at all. Okay, so this is basically not a capital asset and therefore it is not chargeable. So your income will be only 5,90,000. Give the higher basic exemption because you are resident and your age factor. Okay, now come to Mr. D. Mr. D doesn't have any LTCG, but he is now non-resident and the age is 82. But he cannot get, I repeat, Mr. D, he cannot get higher basic exemption limit. Why? Because he is a non-resident person. So higher basic exemption applicable only with respect to the resident senior citizen or resident super senior citizen. However, non-resident person will get basic exemption, but a normal basic exemption that you will get. Okay, and on that you will have to calculate this particular tax liability. Give basic exemption, normal one, calculate the tax liability. No big deal. Capital gain special rate income you don't have for Mr. D. Now friends, come to this particular question, and this particular question has capital gains computation. Together with that you have some dividend income, and together with that you have some capital gains section 112A type income. Okay, so first of all let us do the computation with respect to the shares. Okay, he has purchased 1,000 shares of this company at the rate of 1,000 per share. Fair market value on 31st January 2018 has been given, and it was in the public issue by paying security transaction tax. Company allotted bonus shares 1:1 4 years back. So you had 100 quantity of shares and then you got 100 bonus. Okay, you also received dividend of 10 per share. So dividend will be taxable on its own merit. So you have 200 shares, and on the 200 shares, rupees 10 per share, you have got the dividend. So that will be included. Then he sold all the shares on 110 of the previous year at the rate of 4,000 per share. Okay. So he's selling the original shares also. He's selling the bonus shares also through a recognized stock exchange and paid brokerage of 1%, STT of this much percent. Now, first of all, movement 112A provisions are applicable. Listed shares, and this is long term. Original also long term, and bonus is also long term. Okay. So in this case, the proviso 1 or proviso 2, okay, of section 48 is not applicable. That means indexation benefit proviso 2 to section 48 is not applicable. Proviso 1 exchange rate fluctuation is not applicable. So in the first of all, in the given case, indexation, you have to forget it. You don't have to do any indexation because you are covered by special rate of tax 112A. Okay. Then we'll have to start doing the computation with respect to the capital gains, because this is details about 31st January 2018 etc. has already been given to us. Okay. So your full value of consideration, you are selling for 4,000, so it's going to be 4 lakhs. Okay. Original bonus. Okay. Now there is a special way in which you have to compute the capital gains cost. Full value of consideration or fair market value on 31st January 2018. Okay. Whichever is less. Now, fair market value on 31st January 2018 is 600 per share. Okay. And therefore, it is 100 shares. So it's going to be 60,000. Okay. And full value of consideration is 4 lakhs. Cost determination. Okay. Whichever is less. Okay. So it's going to be 60,000. Okay. And with respect to the bonus shares also, the same thing. Whichever is less, so 60,000 cost. Okay. Compare it with the actual cost. If the actual cost is higher, okay, then such higher cost will be considered. The whole idea of this fair market value as on 31st January 2018, the whole idea about this particular provision is that there should not be a loss because of the fair market value substitution of 31st January 2018. Okay. So because of that, the loss should not be created. That's the whole intention of the law. Okay. So now your cost is restricted to 60,000. So in any case, it's not going to be any loss in the given situation. That's the logic of the law. Okay. However, compared to the actual cost, the actual cost is 1 lakh. Original shares, bonus is nil. Okay. So your ultimate cost, if the actual cost is higher, you will take the actual cost. Okay. Otherwise, your cost is, with respect to the bonus shares, the cost is going to be 60,000. Okay. Then you have paid brokerage 1%. So in the capital gains, the brokerage is allowed. It will be 1% of 4 lakhs. So it will be 4,000 brokerage will be allowed. Okay. That will be the cost. And security transaction tax is not allowed as a deduction in the capital gains chapter. Okay. So in the given case, 4 lakhs minus 1 lakh and minus 4,000. So capital gains 2,96,000 with respect to original long term, and with respect to bonus, it's going to be 3,36,000. Total 6,32,000. Okay, is your long term capital gains under section 112A. However, 112A has a basic limit of 1 lakh of rupees, and that particular 1 lakh of rupees you have to give when it comes to the tax liability calculation. That means only when your amount exceeds 1 lakh of rupees, excess figure only will be chargeable at the special rate of tax. That is 112A, basic limit of 1 lakh. Okay, so that we'll consider. Apart from that, and sometimes these 1 lakh rupees, some people include it in computation. That means in the heads of income itself they will consider. Some people will do it in the tax liability calculation. I think both the methods hardly makes any difference, but choice is yours how you do that particular presentation. The institute, what does it do? It's out of 6,32,000 in the heads of income only, it will exclude 1 lakh of rupees. If you do like that, there is nothing wrong. Okay, and dividend income is going to be 200 shares and 10 rupees. That is going to be your dividend income. And you have other income. Other income is how much? 2,50,000. Sorry, 2 crore 50 lakhs. Okay, 2 crore 50 lakhs. Okay. Now, because now your other income basically that means other than 112A income, that is including dividend income, is exceeding some 2 crore rupees. Now that special surcharge, because together with that you have 112A income also, so you have a mixed income. Okay, so for that, see these rates of tax. First of all, the surcharge categories you understand. Okay, you are individuals, so if your income exceeds 2 crore but not exceeding 5 crores, okay, so your surcharge becomes 25%. Okay. However, on specified income, the intention of the law is not to levy 25% surcharge, but for that the surcharge is maximum capped to 15%. Okay. So for that, there is a special provisions in the Finance Act that for the specified incomes, okay. However, in the given question, it is 112A income. Okay. The surcharge should be kept to 15%. Okay. Now see, in order to achieve this objective, that normal surcharge on the other income should be applicable. However, for the specified incomes, you should have only maximum surcharge of 15%. So it says that excluding the specified income, if your income cross 2 crore but not crossing 5 crores, then it is 25%. So excluding the specified income. So this will be the situation that will come into picture. Okay. So 25% will be the surcharge applicable, but on the specified income, it will be only 15%. That means the tax on specified income for that surcharge will be only 15%. Put it differently, in any case, the surcharge on the specified income shall not exceed, in any case, 15%. Okay. So here in this particular question, we'll have a two category of the surcharge. Okay. And accordingly, you have to do that particular tax liability calculation. Okay. So now it's a pure calculator work, and go ahead with your answer. Okay. Now further part is, in what if your interest income under IFOS is 5 crore 1 lakh instead of 2 crore 50 lakhs. Okay. So in the second part of this particular question, if your interest and IFOS income is supposing 5 crore 1 lakhs of rupees, okay, then you will be eligible for that marginal relief calculation. Okay, because see, your surcharge in the given situation will be just on the border. Okay, the surcharge will become 37% if the total income crosses 5 crore rupees. Okay, so because you are on just that particular border situation, you will have to give that marginal relief with respect to this 5 crores. Now that marginal relief calculation is this way. So you calculate tax plus surcharge in the normal way, excluding cess, because cess adjustment will be done at the end. Okay, on the normal, whatever the income that you get. Then you should get tax on 5 crores. Okay. So how much incremental tax liability you have? Incremental tax you have. Supposing if it was just 5 crores. Okay. In that particular case, your surcharge would have been how much? Just 25%. Okay. Because it will become 37% only if it crosses 5 crore rupees. Otherwise, it's going to be only 25% surcharge maximum cap on that. Okay. So how much is the net increase in the tax liability? Okay. And how much is the income that you have above 5 crores? Okay. So your increase in tax will be restricted only to the extent of the increase in income which is above 5 crore rupees. Okay. And if there is anything excess, that means you have any excess tax, okay, over and above your income which is above 5 crore rupees, then this excess tax will come as a matter of relief. We call it as a marginal relief in this particular situation. That's the only method. So it's a pure calculator work. Okay. And you have to do the calculation appropriately. Okay. Now there is one more thing which will come into picture. When I will calculate the tax on this particular 5 crore rupees, because I have that mix of income, 112A income also I have, and I have my income from other sources also. So when I calculate the tax on 5 crores, again I'll have that particular worry, whether I will offer the LTCG first for the purpose of this 5 crore calculation, or I will say that this particular 5 crore rupees is my just the IFOS income, and it is not covered by, what should I say, LTCGs. So this 5 crores including what? Whether including LTCG or not including LTCG. So that kind of double mind we will have. So in this particular question, again, we will calculate the tax liability 2 times. That is a tax on 5 crores. That how much if the long-term capital gains included or not included. But then we will write a note that I will go with one particular. I don't want to do the entire calculation 2 times, but for classwork purpose, I will do, and I'll write a note saying that the capital gains including that included in 5 crores or not included. For that marginal relief calculation, I'll have to update my answer. Now friends, come to this particular question. Mr. C is a resident, age 65. So resident age 65 means you will get a higher basic exemption. Okay, and you are a resident senior citizen, that means you will also get a higher limit with respect to section 80D, this particular medical insurance premium. Okay, now see, his income is 8,18,240, which includes LTCG of 245. So 245,000 and the balance. Okay, and your total income is including all these figures, that is gross total income. Okay, so that is 8,18,240. Okay, now from this you are going to give the deduction with respect to the interest income. So interest income, you will get the 80TTB because you are a resident senior citizen. Okay, PPF means you will get 80C, and also paid medical insurance, that means 80D. Okay, and contributed 50,000 to charitable trust, which is eligible under section 80G. So 80G also you will get it. Now under section 80G, you have to remember one thing very carefully, that out of the gross total income, whatever is your LTCG, that is anyway not eligible for chapter 6 deduction. So you have to calculate the qualifying amount as 10% of GTI minus your LTCG. Okay, and minus all these deductions, 80C, 80D, okay, 80TTB, okay, minus. That will be your qualifying amount, 10% of that. Actual amount of the contribution is how much? 50,000. So see whichever is less. Okay, and of that 50% will be the deduction under section 80G. So pure calculator work. Okay, and your income is ready. Tax liability will get a higher basic exemption limit. Okay, so that's all. Now let us assume, actually the question is not asking you, but let us assume that. Okay, let us assume that supposing if you was a non-resident, okay, then what difference it would have made in this particular question? First of all, you will not get a higher basic exemption limit. That will be the first change that will happen in the tax liability calculation. You will not get a higher basic exemption limit. Secondly, under section 80D, which we are giving 80D deduction here of a higher limit, you will have a normal limit of section 80D, because if you are a non-resident senior citizen, you are not eligible for higher limit of section 80D. Okay, and in tax liability calculation, higher basic exemption, that you will not get it. Okay, and whatever is a special rate income, that you will have to multiply with the special rate tax liability. However, a resident person can use unused basic exemption limit if there is a unused basic exemption limit, but a non-resident person cannot do that. Okay, so that is a key difference if this particular assessee was a non-resident, and accordingly also we'll just do the computation for the classwork purpose. Now friends, come to this particular question. However, this particular question is in the homework category, but I will just do it in the classwork in a very quick possible way. And let me tell you friends, all these questions are basically to show you the difference between assessee being resident and non-resident, so that you know that where are the key differences when it comes to tax liability calculations and all that. So Mukesh Jain, a resident individual, 66 years, that means senior citizen. Senior citizen will be eligible for higher basic exemption limit. You are required to compute total income and the tax liability. Okay, and so let's do it quickly. Now salary income, so 90,000. Then profit on sale of land, long-term capital is computed as per the provisions of the Income Tax Act. So 5 lakhs, and this is long term, so this will be a special rate of tax. Okay, 112 section will be applicable. Profit on sale of listed shares, transaction carried out the NSE. This will also be listed shares, and this is profit on sale of shares through NSE, STT, and all that has already been paid. Okay, now this particular transaction, whether it is long term or short term, that is not given to us. So let us assume that this is long term. Okay, so 112A provision will be applicable. So 4 lakhs. However, 112A provisions, there is a basic limit of 1 lakh of rupees. Okay, so that particular 1 lakh of rupees, either you show it in the head itself or you show it in the tax liability calculation. In fact, different people take different views, but I will adjust it here in the head only. Okay, both the ways, presentation wise, the answer is correct, but sometimes it can make a key conceptual difference, okay, in the presentation of the answer also. So actually I don't like this adjustment in the head of income. I personally don't like it, okay, but I will just do it because many people do that. Okay, so then interest on savings banks account, so 12,000 add. Okay, and interest on fixed deposit with the State Bank of India, 75,000 add. Okay, then mediclaim premium, medical expense and all that, so I think it is GTI take the total 9,77,000 rupees. Okay, however, overall maximum deduction under chapter 6, overall maximum deduction. Okay, so this 112A income, to that extent you cannot get chapter 6 deduction. So overall maximum limit, okay, of deduction under chapter 6A will be 9,77,000 minus 5 lakhs minus 3 lakhs. Okay, so basically 1,77,000 rupees. Okay, it will be the overall maximum limit of chapter 6 deduction for all the sections taken together. Okay, now mediclaim premium 60,000 rupees is with respect to 2-year policy, so you have to annualize that. So 80D you will get 30,000. Now don't forget that you are a resident person here, so a resident senior citizen get a higher limit when it comes to 80D. Okay, thereafter 80DDB medical expense. Okay, so the specified element, you are eligible for a deduction with respect to the expenditure on the specified disease, but there is a overall limit of 1 lakh of rupees. Okay, and how much is the amount that you have got it from the insurance? Okay, that has to be adjusted. Okay, if at all you have got it, so 33,000 I will have to adjust, so 67,000 rupees is going to be my 80DDB. Okay, then 80TTB, because you are a resident senior citizen, then 80TTB interest deduction higher limit that will be applicable. Okay, so consider that 80TTB limit 50,000 rupees. Okay, and thereafter it is going to be your total income, and on the total income you'll have to calculate the tax liability. Now don't forget that you are a resident individual, and if you have an unused basic exemption limit, okay, so 1 second, roughly just let me tell you, after 80TTB the amount that I get is 8,30,000. okay, and out of 8,30,000 I already have 8 lakhs of rupees is as my special rate income. Okay, so my normal rate income is only 30,000 coming, 8 lakhs going in the special rate category, but the resident individual can use basic exemption limit, unused basic exemption limit with respect to the special rate income. Okay, so my basic exemption normal eligibility is coming to only 30,000, but I am already a senior citizen, so total my basic exemption is 3 lakhs. So 2,70,000 rupees, okay, is my unused basic exemption. So this 2,70,000 I will adjust it against my special rate income. Now even in the special rate income, if you will see, this LTCG is multiplied with 20% and this 112A is 10%. So here also I have to take the decision that unused basic exemption you are adjusting against the income which is taxable at the higher rate. because otherwise also you have to create option A and option B, like you adjust unused basic exemption against 112 capital gains or 112A capital gains. So there also variations can be created, but you can straight away write a note that more advantage will be that whichever income which is taxable at the higher rate in special rate category, against that only I will use basic exemption so that I minimize the tax liability. Okay, so that is one of the very beautiful point here. So I will use unused basic exemption, and resident person can do that particular adjustment in the tax liability calculation. And other income, I'll multiply whatever is special rate, that's other special rate income, I'll multiply the respective special rate income. Okay, so that's all with the computation. But now supposing if the same assessee becomes a non-resident. Okay, actually question is not asking us. But let us think that supposing if now this particular assessee becomes a non-resident. Okay, so computation wise it will be again same 9,77,000. Okay, when it comes to 80D, this 80D provisions, I will not have 30,000. That means I will not have higher limit, so I'll have a normal limit of section 80D. So that it will be a difference. 80DDB provisions are not applicable only to non-residents. So that is applicable only to the resident person, not applicable only to non-resident. 80TTB is applicable only to resident senior citizen. So 80TTB will not apply, but instead of that now 80TTA provisions will be applicable. That is a general purpose deduction with respect to bank interest and all that. So 80TTA will be applicable to that non-resident person. Okay, and my income will get computed. Okay, whatever figure that comes, and from that I'll have to calculate tax liability. Now, unused basic exemption limit. I cannot do anything with respect to non-resident person. So whatever is special rate income, I'll multiply with special rates, and the balance I will give it for basic exemption. So thereafter also, if there is a unused limit, I have to forget it. Okay, so I cannot do any such special adjustment with respect to non-resident tax liability calculation. So this is how your answer can change. And friends, in my simplified version of the notes, I somewhere I've also given you these key differences between resident, non-resident, various adjustments and etc. You can just go through that. That way, under the law, there are many sections in which there are differences, but some of them are very popular from the examination point of view, and that I've already shortlisted and given it to you in the simplified version of the notes. You can just turn the page and go through that.